My 48 female daughter 25 female slept with elder daughter's 27 female husband and is now facing harsh treatment. About 3 years ago, me and my husband 53 male had found out that my daughter Donna had an affair with our older daughter Marina's husband Leonard. It was especially infuriating because Marina had been our pet a couple weeks prior. Marina was in a mess due to her assault, and after she found out that her husband had been messing with her sister didn't help with her mental health. In short, she was constantly self-harming, suicidal, and would have panic attacks and or start crying randomly. What made it worse was that Marina kept blaming herself for her RP and her husband's infidelity. We've put her in therapy and she's been doing a lot better, thank God. On the other hand, when I went to confront Donna about this mess, she just said that she was pleasuring Marina's husband because she was refusing X in a really condescending way. I was so mad that I wanted to put my hands on her. How could she say that after such a horrible thing happened? I straight up told her that until Marina is comfortable enough, she shouldn't contact me. She started screaming, but I was over it. After Marina and Leonard divorced, Huma and Donna ended up engaged. My son Josiah told me this and wanted me and my husband to come to the wedding engagement party. I was appalled that she had the audacity to ask me that kind of question, and I declined. I told her that I loved her, but I simply cannot be with her and give her my blessings, as she said horrible things and hasn't apologized. She said that her and Leonard, my husband, was on the same boat and warned her that if Leonard cheated with her, then it won't be out of the question that he will cheat on her. Fast forward to the present. Donna was banging on my door pleading for me to let her in. She had a tear-streamed face holding a baby and a toddler, so I let her in. She was crying while saying how Leonard had been emotionally and verbally abusing her and also had a side family. She didn't want to stay in a house with him any longer and wants out. This is a hard situation for me as both daughters aren't doing so well, but as much as I hate to say it, one brought it on herself. Can anyone give help in such a situation? Please help me. Too long didn't read. Daughter cheated on her boyfriend and is now facing the harsh consequences of her actions. If Marina lives with you, Donna can't. Full stop. Yes, Donna is in a bad situation now, but that doesn't change the fact that she cheerfully hurt her sister a few years ago without apologizing. You can't even let Donna stay with you if she apologizes at this point, because you wouldn't be able to trust that the apology was sincere. Help her contact your nearest women's shelter, domestic violence organization, and a divorce lawyer. If you can help her out a bit more, then you can offer to get her a hotel room for a month or so, but she has to get her own bank account and job if she doesn't have them already to support herself and her kids. Once you've done that, do let Marina know that you're helping Donna out, but not having her live with you. You don't want to blindside Marina if she runs into Donna. If Marina says, "Why did you send her to a shelter hotel?" stick her in the spare room, without any prompting or requests from you or Donna. Then you can consider letting her stay for a bit. If you want to live with Donna and her kids, it's okay for you to decide that you don't want them in your house under any circumstances. Mother to mother and of 2 girls myself, here's how I imagine going about it. First off, she's your daughter and we know you love her, but she sounds like a huge narcissist. Now that she's faced consequences for her actions, I am the kind of person who would help, but within reason. If I could, I would help her find another place, or if possible, get her to a women's shelter, but I would not let her in under the same roof as the daughter who didn't bring all of this on herself. Some people are saying to just let her deal with it on her own, and honestly that's not wrong either. She's way too grown to not know any better, and she did deserve this. Second story, wife 33F finally admitted to cheating on me 36M. Now what? My wife 33F and I 36M have been married for 8 years with no kids. We dated for 3 years prior to getting married. 6 years ago, I caught her lying about spending time with an ex-boyfriend. At the time, I was temporarily disabled by a severe injury and awaiting my workers' compensation claim to be processed. It eventually was, resulting in surgery, physical therapy, and a cash settlement. But the process took over 2 years to resolve. I was stuck at home, in chronic pain, and doubtless difficult to live with. She had recently reconnected with some old friends, and began hanging out with an ex-boyfriend. I told her point blank that it made me uncomfortable, and she accused me of being jealous and controlling. She began to complain to her friends that I was trying to keep her from spending time with this man, and they became hostile to me. I remained uncomfortable, but I tried to let it go. I began to notice my wife coming home with things that we could not afford, and she always had a ready excuse. Again, I was accused of paranoia, and I let it go. She dared me to go through her phone if I thought she was lying, which I thought would make me as intrusive and controlling as she claimed, so I refused. The warning signs kept coming. One day, she left her phone at home, and remembering how she had asked me to look at it to prove her innocence, I decided I would actually look. It was absolutely full of incriminating text messages. She and the ex-boyfriend were seeing one another daily. He was giving her rides to work in his car while she was telling me she rode the bus. They took a day trip up to the city together. One text from him even said "I love you," although there was no response in kind from her. I packed my things up and got ready to leave. I decided to confront her first, and waited until she came home. She walked in the front door and immediately realized what was up. I explained that I had looked at her phone and found evidence that she had lied to me. She admitted to being emotionally involved but adamantly denied having a sexual relationship with him. I didn't believe her, but I had no proof. We talked for hours, and she convinced me that she was ashamed of her actions and had only looked for attention because I was so miserable all the time due to my injury. I didn't leave. Over the years since then, we have worked hard to build a life together. With the help of me working full-time and devoting most of my injury settlement to moving and school expenses, she finished her degree and started a career. It hasn't always been easy, and there have been points where I found it difficult to trust her. On occasion, she has thrown it back at me, demanding to know how long I am going to let one mistake undermine my trust. 2 or 3 times, I asked again if she had truly come clean about her affair, and she vehemently denied having done anything physical. Which brings us to this week. One of her friends who had accused me of paranoia was briefly the subject of discussion, and it led me to think about that time in our lives. Some specific contradictions were bothering me, and doubt was keeping me awake at night. I decided to share my feelings with my wife, if only to explain what was bothering me. This time, as I broke it down and explained what exactly was eating at me, she came clean. She had a sexual affair with the ex-BF. She was unhappy at home and his attention made her feel good. He bought her nice things. She said she had flirted a bit too much with some other people and he even pursued them, but never had any other actual affairs. She claimed that all of this ended when she was caught, and that she has not had another affair since then. I wasn't angry. I wasn't surprised. I was just hurt. This was hardly a revelation. I had known even though I hadn't known it was the reason I asked again every few years. Now I don't know what to do. My wife is the same person she was last week, when I essentially knew she had cheated on me years ago, only now she has come clean. I adore her. I can even see myself putting this behind me and moving on, but I have some major concerns, and they are all potential deal breakers. I know exactly what I would tell a friend if they were in my situation. No matter how much I love this woman, the person I made plans to spend the rest of my life with, my brain tells me to get the duck out now. If I stay, I do not know if my trust can ever be rebuilt. She didn't just cheat on me. She didn't just accuse me of paranoia for suspecting the truth. She continued to lie for 6 more years after being caught. She questioned my trust while continuing to lie to me time and time again. We had planned on having children when the time was right, but I do not want to bring a child into this situation right now. Her window of opportunity to have children is limited, and if we spend the next 6 years trying to make our marriage work only to fail, it will be all but too late for her to have another shot at a family with someone else. I would be foolish to take her word that this was the only time. I guess it seems so simple when I lay it out like this. Maybe I am hoping that someone can provide me with pros to staying, because right now all I see is a long list of cons. Maybe I just need a kick in the ass. Now what? The problem here isn't so much the infidelity, I think, as it is the way she handled it. If she had just denied it, calmly, One might argue that she was younger, immature, didn't know how to handle the situation, didn't want to hurt you or lose you, so she denied the affair, and stopped the affair. She didn't do that though, did she? She belittled you, rallied her friends against you, told you were jealous and controlling. That's horrible behavior. In the intervening years, she's had every opportunity to improve herself, but she's continued to hold her mistakes against you, telling you to just get over it. I am a big believer in second chances, but I feel like she's burned through every opportunity to do that. You know what you'd tell a friend, so you know what to tell yourself. P.S. I'd love to see her go back to those friends and admit what she did. She cheated on you, lied to your face multiple times for years, gaslighted you, and broke your trust. She stabbed you in the back at one of your lowest points instead of coming to you in honesty with her struggles. In my opinion, adoring someone isn't a reason to ignore all of this. You already know the list of cons is a long one and you already know what you want to do. You just haven't committed to it yet. Be strong, you deserve better. Third story, GF28 female asked for open relationship. I 29 male want to break up. Basically what the title says, she was talking about the Will Smith interview and that she wonders how they manage that. I said there are all kinds of people in the world, it's a big world after all, no point in worrying about them. Then she said we should have an open relationship, but I said no. I have no interest in that. We argued back and forth until it suddenly dawned on me that I have the perfect solution here, so I told her we should break up and find someone more compatible. She broke down crying and said she should be allowed to list out her fantasies, and my point is that it's a lifestyle choice, one in which I have no interest. She said it's not a deal breaker for her if it meant breaking up with me. For the record, she has had a much more extensive sexual life than me. She is someone who detach X and emotions while I need to form an emotional bond before X. I think I am demisexual. Our sexual life is very good, 4-5 nights a week and plenty of non-sexual physical contact. Anyway, she is treating the matter as closed. She says she proposed. We argued and I turned it down, so it's done, but I am not convinced. Are we doomed or can it work? Oh, and we have been dating for 1 year. Please advise, as I am in two minds here. I agree that she should speak her fantasies even if it remains just that, but this is more than a fantasy, right? Help me out here folks. Update. So, I had a long heart-to-heart with her. I started with asking if it was a deal breaker for her. She said absolutely not. Then I asked why was she debating it, and she said that she was only trying to win the argument in the moment. She never thought I would actually utter the words break up. That's why she cried. Because in her mind we were just having a spirited discussion like we have all the time on topics like coal versus renewable energy, electric cars versus hydrogen cars, vegans versus non-vegans, atheism versus religion versus spiritualism, Tony Stark versus Bruce Wayne, and so on and so forth. It's true, we have a lot of these discussions. It's one of our favorite pastime. And she said when you suddenly brought up breakup I was like WTF, where did this come from? She also agreed that her crying was a bit immature and childish, but she was hurt that I even thought about breaking up. But it was definitely not manipulative, and she said I should expect her to cry in future arguments too. Then we discussed about the open relationship topic, and she said for her emotional intimacy is of more importance than physical intimacy. She also said that her deal breaker would be if I have an emotional affair that she can't get past. I asked if she wants to have X with someone else than me, and she said only if you agree. I said well, in that case I will feel guilty that I am stopping you from enjoying your life. And she asked well, should she also feel guilty that we only go to restaurants which have a good vegan venue because she is vegan and I am not? Am I stopping you from living your life, or do you do it because you are an adult who makes his own decisions and you love me? So please trust me when I say that I will be perfectly happy having X with just you as long as you don't neglect my needs, which you don't. In fact, I am having the time of my life right now, both physically and emotionally. So if you want to break up then go ahead. I would you rather not, but I am having all my needs met by you and I plan on being in a relationship with you. I asked what if we get married and stay together for the next 50 years, will you be okay with that? She said, Well, if we get married and our marriage breaks down for any reason, I can assure you that it won't be because of infidelity, but we should also be secure enough that I tell you, see that guy, girl, I would like to fuck him, her, and you tell me yeah, not happening. I pout, then we move on, secure in the knowledge that we trust each other enough to not hurt our marriage. Can you trust me now that you know I am capable of having these feelings? If you say yes, then I will trust you, so likewise I hope you trust me when I say I am perfectly happy not having sex with people outside of our relationship. It was an emotionally charged conversation and she was hurt by my actions yesterday but also understood why I had such a strong reaction, so now we are putting it in the same bin where we keep our other arguments, close the lid and move on till we find our next topic. And yes, I love her very much, enough to marry her, and I know she loves or rather adores me. Thank you for everyone who commented and gave advice. We really appreciate this. If you have any question, feel free to ask. I am going to cook something nice for her now, so I will answer you when I have time. Have a nice day everyone. So you gave her a hard, very reasonable boundary which is a deal breaker for you, and she said she plans on continuing to push that boundary and pout when she doesn't get her way. She also said her fidelity is conditional on you meeting her needs. Dud. I know you are all about sweeping this under the rug, but it is going to bite you in the rear so hard if you stay with her. The day is going to come where you're recovering from an injury or illness, or have to go on a business trip, or dealing with grief from the loss of a loved one, and she's going to decide your agreement about you fulfilling her needs is broken and go seek it somewhere else. Why would she be asking to duck people, then pouting? If you've now said it's off the table, she's telling you that she's going to continue bringing this up in hopes that one day you give in. This isn't a discussion or debate. She was demanding something, and frankly I think she's hoping to work on you into reconsidering once you are less willing to break up. That line about asking and then pouting that is getting upset is what convinced me. Hit like if you enjoyed this video. Consider subscribing to our channel.